Guess what? You have the confidence inside of you already to achieve any musical goal that you want, including auditioning. So, how do you hone your confidence? Well, my friend, that is with the Confident Musician's Audition Guide. This guide is to get you from the practice room to on the stage for your auditions. We talk about everything, including planning your practice, that's in Chapter 1, working with accompanists in Chapter 3, getting into the zone at auditions, that's in Chapter 5. Chapter 2 is all about mental practice, setting up mock auditions, and basically everything about mock auditions in Chapter 4, and auditioners, which is scattered throughout the whole guide, and a load more. Seriously, this 43-page guide is my baby. I have poured my heart and soul into this to make sure it is exactly what you need for your auditions. So whether you are just about to go into your auditions, thinking about how you are going to start auditioning, or just curious about how auditioning works, this guide is for you. Let's be honest, the auditioning process might be a short process, but the effects of it can be life-changing. So invest in you, and let's make this the audition season of confidence. Let's get you auditioning with confidence. Check out the show notes for the link to your copy, or visit confidentmusicianing.com. You can totally manage your practice, and here is how. Hello and welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. I am your host, Eleanor, and after countless practice sessions, a ton of broken reeds, and 7 different music school acceptances in 3 different countries, I have learned a thing or two about savoring your practicing, becoming your best practice companion, and actively working towards your musical goals. And I want to share this with you, because I want you to become your best musical self. Are you with me on this? Let's get started. Hey there, and welcome back to Confident Musicianing. Spending fewer but more effective hours in the practice room is so much more important than spending more ineffective hours in the practice room. I remember when I was applying to 12 different music schools in 3 different countries, and each country and different school had different repertoire requirements, and so with a bunch of music, I needed to be really, really strategic, and I needed the most efficient way of practicing. In order to do this, I worked on planning my practice out really strategically so that I could stay focused the whole time. At Confident Musicianing, my mission is to fuel your confidence to help you achieve your musical goals. Through the podcast, different series, and guides, you are equipped with the resources that you need. Today, we are discovering some of those resources to get you on track with practicing more strategically. This is the first episode of a 3-part series. The others are going to be talking about experiencing more joy in music and then preparing for auditions. Those will be coming out in the coming weeks. Okay, let's get started with planning your practice and making it strategic. The first thing is that we have the goal setting strategy. Remember when I was talking about how I was planning my practice when I was auditioning for music school? This is that method that I used. This strategy takes you through setting that big goal that you have and turning it into bite-sized, effective practice sessions to keep you on task and stay focused. One of the big things when it comes to achieving that big goal is staying on track. I mean, I'm sure you know what I mean. You plan things and then later on you're like, I'm not as focused, I'm not as on track. But this strategy is designed to keep you focused even when it gets hard. So get your copy of the strategy, the link is in the show notes. Seriously, it is so fun and also just really easy. You are literally just filling things out to stay on track. So make sure you go check that out. The link is in the show notes. You can totally manage your practice, and here is how. This is the second thing. In this episode of the Confident Musicianing Podcast, not the one you're listening to now, the one that I'm talking about, we chat all about how you can start managing your practice to efficiency. This episode is literally the first ever in the podcast, the one that we're talking about right now. Seriously, we have been talking about effective practicing and strategic practicing from the beginning. This episode is called Your Blueprint for Overcoming Overwhelm and Managing Your Practice. It covers so many things, including the power of small goals in practice, creating a roadmap to achieve that big goal, and effectively rewarding your efforts. Because let's be honest, when you have achieved your goal or worked towards it, that deserves some rewarding. This episode is 10 minutes long, so it is the perfect episode to download and listen to on the go. Seriously, wherever you are, whether you are listening to it while you are going to class or going to work or going to, a rehearsal, or even just sitting in the park and listening to it, or whatever you want to do with this episode, it is perfect to just download so you have it and listen to it on the go. Again, all of these are going to be in the show notes for you, so make sure you go check that out because all of the stuff is linked in the show notes. An effective practice session needs to be planned well. And we go into this with the goal setting strategy that I was talking about in the first thing. But further than that, when we are auditioning specifically, planned practices are crucial. This skill, like planning your practice and preparing for auditions, this needs practice. It's like practicing needs to be practiced. So in order to do this, you can start here. This is the Confident Musician's Audition Guide. This is the third thing. It is a complete guide to get you from the practice room onto the stage for your auditions. We talk about everything, including planning your practice, working with accompanists, getting in the zone at auditions, mental practice, setting up mock auditions, audition nerves, celebrating your efforts, and staying calm and confident in that audition, and so much more. Seriously, this 43-page guide is my baby. I have poured my heart and my soul into this to make sure it is exactly what you need for your auditions. So whether you are about to go into auditions, thinking about how you are going to start auditioning, or just curious about how it works, so this guide has planning stuff in there. So whether you are going to be doing auditions or thinking about starting auditioning or whatever it is, this guide has the planning stuff that will help you get to that goal. Because let's be honest, by the time this episode comes out, music school auditions and applications will be happening. Like, it's happening right now. So if you are applying to music school or, anything like that, the stuff is happening now. It is happening. So if you are someone who is applying to music school, this guide is for you. The audition process might be a short process, but the effects of it can be life-changing. So I dare you to invest in you and make this your audition season of confidence. Okay? All right, let's do a recap. The first thing is the goal setting strategy. Okay, this is talking about getting that big goal that you have and creating a roadmap so that you can stay focused. Literally, all you need to do is just download it and fill it out. It is literally for you to stay focused with your goals. The next thing is this first episode of the Confident Musicianing podcast titled Your Blueprint for Overcoming Overwhelm and Managing Your Practice. This episode covers so much stuff, including the power of small goals in practice, creating a roadmap to achieve your goal, and effectively rewarding your efforts. It is literally 10 minutes, so you can download it and listen on the go. The third thing is the Confident Musician's Audition Guide. Now, I know this is about auditions, but if we are trying to plan our practice, then chances are there is a goal in mind. And if your goal is auditions, then this is for you. Especially if you are applying for music school, which is happening right now if you are listening to this podcast when it comes out, or even a little after. It's happening now. So make sure you get on that. As always, all of this stuff will be linked in the show notes. So just take a look. All right, that is about it for this episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. That is so lovely of you. As always, all of this stuff will be in the show notes, from the goal setting strategy to episode 1 of the podcast. all the way to the Confident Musicians Audition Guide, and the blog post to do with this episode will be linked as well. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give the podcast a follow and or a subscribe or whatever it is. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye!